There's 4 stocks I want to talk about today. I want to talk about SEALSQ, LAES. I want to talk about BigBear.ai. I want to talk about QBTS, and I want to talk about SOFI. We're going to cover all of this in like 15 minutes. We're going to get into the charts and everything. So buckle in. Let's jump in. What is going on, everyone? So it is good to be back. This weekend, I got to go over to the Oregon coast and enjoy a camping trip at one of my favorite beaches. While I was there, I got an opportunity to read the MIT Quantum Index Report, the 2025 Index Report, which is 132 pages long. Really enjoyed that. In that report, and to cut through all of the noise and just get straight to the facts about quantum computing, quantum networking, all of that. Super excited about that video. It's not going to be for everyone because it goes really far into the weeds, but it was a fun video. Let's talk about the market today. The market today was incredible, an incredible rebound from the last couple of days. We can look at the heat map here. So the market was mostly green, with Amazon having a nice 1.92% day, Apple having a nice day, Amazon, Meta had a really big pop today. Google pretty much across the board, even Palantir was making all-time highs. SoFi almost got back to its $15 position. And quantum in 2025, it continues to be this theme, this inescapable theme. And I know not everyone out there likes this, but if you have invested in quantum in the last year, your portfolio has been looking pretty good. Let's take a look at some of these stocks. So QUBT, which I have asked repeatedly on this channel, and we've done like one video on QUBT, had a 27.2% increase in one day. Entire indexes over the course of a year don't return 27% in one day, to put that into perspective. ARQQ, a quantum cybersecurity play based out of Europe that we covered more extensively, 22% today. I'm going to put this out there again. If any of you invest in QUBT, if you're active investor or you have more information to share with the community, please leave it in the comment. Quantum Emotion, which is still a volatile penny stock out of Canada, had a 12% day. Rigetti is waking back up and it's actually closed above a $12 position. QBTS closed at 16 with a 5.5% day. QBTS has been in a more bearish pattern lately, so it was nice to see a strong day. Skywater, QBTS, D-Wave's chip fabricator and an onshore manufacturer of many different types of chips, also had a nice day. And down the watch list, we just saw a lot of green in quantum. Even IonQ, which had really sharp sell-off at market open, rebounded and posted green. So we know that the Israel and Iran war has started, and there's been talks of a ceasefire. There's been talks of peace, but also there's just a lot of aggression on both sides. And this definitely impacted the markets in a big way last week. It seems like the markets shook it off to some extent today. I just had the Qs pulled up here because I wanted you all to see where we were. The Qs were down to 400 in April, and we've almost completely made a V-shaped recovery to those December highs from last year and those February highs. And the market just kind of keeps inching up. And many of the best tech companies in the world are in this index, and they're pushing it up as Google gets more valuable, as NVIDIA gets more valuable, Apple. These companies continue to push the tech market up. And SPY has had a similar recovery, just looking back to the April lows to now, just truly a marvelous recovery. Okay, I want to start with SEALSQ, LAES. So SEALSQ is a stock that I have been buying pretty aggressively once it got over the magic number of 388. And it's actually been over that number for quite a few days. And you're probably like, what is 388? Well, 388 is apparently, for SEALSQ, it is both the resistance and the support that always comes into play with this stock at where it is in its current life cycle. So we can see that a lot of volume has been coming in with LAES, the big volume candles. And this stock has almost pushed up to 450. And recently, volume's been coming down a little bit, and the stock has held above 388. It's actually closed at 397. So it's holding above that key level. We can see that there is a significant uptrend. We started at 233, and the stock is holding this $4 price point. And if we go back even further, if we go back 3 months, we can see that there's very little price history above this 388. It's either been much higher or it stayed below the 388. So we are at a critical point where SEALSQ with a major contract or a major catalyst could explode to the upside. And if we looked at the 6-month chart once again, and we measure the potential upside from where we are now, we just connect the top of the wick, there is still 180% upside. In a bearish case to the downside, we could see something like 388 retrace down to 216 for a negative 41%. So the risk reward for me is still very intact with LAES and SEALSQ. All right, let's take a look at QBTS. So I marked out this, and it looks like maybe today this downtrend has been broken. And if we go back and we look at the 4-hour candles, and let's just look at 6 months, and we'll remove some drawings. We can see that QBTS has made its all-time highs recently. Also, after it had this second gap up here, it's held above this $15 price point. In fact, Friday, we saw that the $15 price point actually came into effect when the whole market was selling off. QBTS bounced multiple times off that $15 price point. If we bring back our drawings and we just do a quick little drawing here at 15, we can see that around that 15 point has been a spot for the stock to be bought up. The dip is being bought. And where are we in the overall picture with D-Wave Quantum? From a chart perspective, from a sheer technicals perspective, during our initial rallies, it was pretty clear that we had lots and lots of volume. Volume has been trailing off, which when volume trails off, stocks can sell off. We haven't had any major catalyst from D-Wave for a while. So all of this price action has been based on what they did a month ago and what investors are excited about what they did a month ago, but what is new coming from D-Wave. And if they have a catalyst coming up that could get investors excited again, we could see $18 coming into play again, or we could see them retest their all-time high of $19.79. Now, what is likely to happen if we don't see any news or anything come out, if the market kind of just stays okay or okay to bullish, then we could see something in the terms of just staying within this $15 to $18 channel and just trading sideways until we get to Q2, in which case I'm very interested in what is going to happen with Q2, because we don't know if D-Wave is going to be able to reproduce the results they just gave in their earnings. A lot of those earnings were due to a full system sell to ULIC. So are their financials going to look worse, and are investors going to punish the stock and send the stock down? That's very probable at this point in time, unless there's a major change somehow. There's still time left in the quarter, but they are on the clock. So right now, I see D-Wave with all the information that I'm aware of kind of just chopping, and I would be surprised to see it fill the gap and go down to 13. There's not a whole lot of price history at 13, but if it started to break below 15, I would start to get a little bit worried, because then the next stop down would be 12, And we know that QBTS has a ton of price history under the $12 point. We're creating this new price history above 15. So if it can continue to hold, close at 16, it's still looking strong. It's still looking pretty bullish, but I would be surprised if it made all-time highs. I am more expecting for it to chop sideways. All right, so let's take a look at SOFI, which is not a quantum stock, but a favorite of ours. So 6 months, if we just look back and we see that SOFI is consistently outperforming themselves. They're doing great, but Wall Street here, this was a key earnings early in 2025, looked at their earnings report and said, you're not maximizing profit to make us rich. You're looking at long-term growth, so we're sending your stock down. And that's pretty much what happened, Cliff Notes. Then tariffs happened and the market dumped and all stocks really got washed out. And there was a point where SOFI could be picked up for $9. Now SOFI has made this pretty incredible recovery with lots of other stocks in the market and is holding this consistent uptrend. And recently has actually got over this $15, $14.61, $15 price point. And there's lots of price history for SOFI above $15, but we're just kind of getting back to maybe more fair valuation of fair stock price for SOFI. SOFI has kind of been picked on a little bit in the stock market by Wall Street, and it's always traded a little bit lower than maybe what it should, given how much money this company makes and how promising their future is. So I'm fully expecting SOFI to have another banger of a quarter, and I can't see this stock staying even in the neighborhood of 15 for much longer unless macro shifts in a serious way. All right, last stock that we're going to look at is BigBear.ai, and BigBear has had its fair share of spikes. It's very much a roller coaster stock, so I'm just kind of drawing out what I mean when I say spikes. It kind of moves up and down, and that's the nature and the character of this stock. Now, what we're doing and what's great about this May to June run is we're creating this really nice base of support above $3. For a long time, BigBear had a hard time even getting above $3. As you can see, there's a lot of price history and a lot of trading that happened below $3. Now we're above $3 and we actually closed at $4 and we're starting to get more and more candles in the $4 range. So BigBear isn't explosively moving up. It's now kind of walking up. And we can see that even just going back to April to now, there's been a 75% appreciation in this equity. And if you sold the top at 462, there's been a 94%. And we really have not seen the explosive moves that BigBear has been known for before as of yet. However, it is primed. This is showing me this consistent price action, the investor sentiment, the better financials, the better leadership, the probable better quarter of earnings, and the space that BigBear is in. It just has me very bullish. When you look at Palantir today, Palantir was making all-time highs again, and Palantir is trading at hundreds and hundreds of price to earnings. So BigBear is looking like a steal deal compared to something like Palantir. Of course, BigBear has more problems, but if things were perfect, BigBear wouldn't be under $5 a share. So what can we expect from BigBear going forward? Well, I think any substantial contract or catalyst, we could see a candle like this. We've seen it before with BigBear. It's setting up that way that it could have just an explosive move to the upside. Traders love this stock. It loves to move up. So in a base case, I would see that Big Bear would just kind of continue walking up, especially until Q2. In a bearish case, and I would see this as very unlikely unless macro changed, it would move back down to a 3 to 350 and just trade sideways. In an ultra bullish case, we could see some really nice green candles and this get back to an $8 to $10 position. All right, guys, so we just did 4 stocks. We covered the Qs and SPY, and we looked at some news, and we looked at our quantum watch list. I do covers like this pretty often. If you like covers like this and you want to see more of this content in your channel, hit subscribe. Do me a huge favor and like this video if you appreciate the content. It does take time to make these videos, so I really appreciate the like, and we will see you guys in the next one.